We'll see how well this video works because my camera does not love the glare and the contrast. But what's this all about? I have been working on, and I mean, not hard working, just kind of screwing around on a map for the local area for the Dungeon Crawl Classics and or ShadowDark game. I am kind of trying to get going, kicking around. It's connected to one that I ran for my friend Rob a couple of years back. And it's a mix of a bunch of things, including my reworked, I did a video on this quite some time ago, I think I'm right on that, but my reworked version of Phandalin, which is called Clear Springs, and I've got that here, just a little icon for it, And the whole idea with Clear Springs, I was bothered looking at Phandalin by the fact that there was no water. There was no sense that water was a thing. Like, I don't even think, I could be wrong, but I don't even think the town has a well. And it's not on a river. It's not on a stream. There are no streams on the map, if memory serves. And I'm like, that makes no sense. So I decided to have a reason why the town existed. And it's connected to a few things, but it's connected to the nearby mountains. The town is Clear Springs. People go there because the water is supposed to be healing. They think that it's magical. There's actually a set of a constructed thing of baths up in the foothills of the nearby mountains. We have Ice Spire Peak up here for whatever comes out of that. And then I've got some forests around. I have like a thing that's thought to be the Witch's Tower, which will probably be the one from the Phandalin thing, although my own modified version of it. I have this mound with some megaliths or, whatever, a henge. I have that over here. This is for Portal Under the Stars, the Dungeon Crawl Classics scenario. That'll be the location where that takes place. The Dwarven Mine up here. There's a northern pass that goes to a sort of icy frontier where I've got something frozen in time. The Dungeon Crawl Classics scenario would be set up in this area. I have this thing, Farlight. No idea what that is. Put it there. Thought it looked cool. We'll figure it out. There's skull and crossbones over here. Why? I don't know. I think goblins are probably there, but maybe goblins are down here. I don't know. We'll figure that out with time. There's room to fill in other things. My thought is I will make a couple of photocopies of this and I would hand a copy to the players and let them write. And I've written little notes here and there in different colors and my handwriting's my handwriting. So unfortunately, it's just going to look like I wrote them. But the idea was that maybe other writers would put notes on over time. And I think if I do photocopy this, I wouldn't want to do some other things to it, including like weathering and all that sort of thing. But we'll see. I just had some fun poking around, and I figured there's enough blanks that players can fill stuff in. I'd like to do a larger map, but right now I don't have the room here, and I don't have the paper. When we moved, I had a bunch of big sheets of like cardstock and stuff that we just had to get rid of, and so I don't have that anymore. And so at some point I would like to do that. But I want to try to do more kind of in-world style maps. I've been looking a little bit at medieval maps and how like janky and weird and idiosyncratic they are. And I kind of want to do some of that. So I've thought about like, let's see if I think I have a piece of paper. Professional. That's me. Yes, of course, it's propping the camera up. That's why I can't find it. But I've thought about doing something like, I'll show you here. Okay, with like points. So I thought about doing something like a map where the location that you want to go to, or the important location. Maybe it's not where you want to go, maybe it's where you're from, or it's some important cultural center is here. And then this just represents the road winding away. Now, it's not really winding like that. This is just, this could be, a month of travel represented here. And along the way, there would be little sites, and I would write, the name and notes about them. And it would be, this is the city of blankety blank and the tower of yada yada and the swamp of this or that. So basically just do this, maybe put it into a circle or a weird shape or an egg shape or something. Maybe there's some cultural meaning for why it's made like that. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We can make that up as we go. But I kind of want to start doing more weird, idiosyncratic in-world maps where you really look at it and you're like, how is this supposed to tell me? But you maybe can figure out that, this is maybe a certain amount of space. It's like, this is 5 days away. This is 10 days away. This is 15 days away. That kind of thing. And you learn certain things, or maybe that's even written in the note. It's when you leave the last city, travel for 10 days, and you'll along the East Road, and you will come to here, and whatever descriptions are needed. Maybe it's going to be all written in marginalia around the map. So I don't know. I like these weird things, and again with the Middle Ages, they didn't have these omniscient top-down maps that you see a lot of times in games, and hex maps and things like that. When you're handing out like a real, like an objective top-down map of the Forgotten Realms to somebody, like that's, and I know not everything should echo Middle Ages Europe. That's not what I'm going for. Or echo our paltry understanding of Middle Ages Europe that is frequently tainted by movies of the 1950s and books like Le Morte d'Arthur or The Once and Future King that are not in any way accurate representations of the time that they're talking about. They're written centuries after, and they're telling heightened stories about these things. So all of that with a grain of salt. But all that is to say that I like the idea of maps being more handouty. I want to give players a physical map they can look at, but also one they're not afraid to write notes in and to describe things. And ideally, I'd like, again, something a little larger with a little bit more blank space. And I would love for, them to add a location over here and write the story of what happened there, or write, we witnessed a giant with a stump walking through this area and ran. Write that there, put it in there so that then that map maybe moves on to somebody else, another play group or something like that, and they can say, oh crap, they saw a giant over here. What does that mean? Should we go check that out? I really want that with the map. Anyway, this piece of printer paper is probably too small for that, but at some point maybe we'll get there. I'm not an artist. I'm not a cartographer. I'm not any of those things. And even so, even with my very primitive art skills, I had fun putting this together. And I think that's also part of the point. What do you do? Do you do maps? Do you do that sort of thing? I'm not going to be doing virtual tabletops. I just don't. I'm not into that's something I went through. I don't know if it's going to show up on there. Let me see if I can get this to zoom in. That little mark, that's purple mark, and then there's another down here, purple mark, and over here, a purple mark. Those are little symbols from the sort of thieves' Guild type markings that I've put together. I've got a couple of dictionaries of old-timey slang and then I went and I looked into like the hobo code, but then I also found some other stuff, and I mixed and matched, and I had fantastical versions of them. So it's I've got a key in one of these books here, yeah, of my kind of it's largely inspired by the hobo code, but is not entirely the hobo code, but a list of symbols that I want to work into things. I want to work into handouts and maps and have them find them in villages and stuff. Some of them will say like, "Hey, there's good stuff to loot here." Other ones will say, "Run like hell if you see this symbol." So anyway, that's me. That's maps. That's hobo code. I don't know. You use any of this stuff? Do you do any of that sort of thing for your game? I can't even say I'm doing it for my game since I don't have one right now, but we'll see. Maybe at some point I can figure it out. Everybody seems to, but not me. Anyway, until next time, take care.